Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chatroom with Max. Let's do this.
It's your boy Max. I want to introduce a show to you. It's called Chatroom with Max.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't stop.
The primary sign, usually on an adult in a domestic violence situation, are bruises.
God gave him a talent. And the Bible says your gift will make a way for
When we sit there and we blame God for the things that are happening in our lives, no, God never told me to lay down with that man.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you. How was your week? How have you been? It's been a while. Yeah, like 2 weeks, right? Yeah. So today we have. In fact, today is very, very tough. Today is serious. There was this huge temptation for this show not to hold today, because I'm a little bit down, a little bit under the weather, but I'm like, no. The topic today is one that everybody needs to hear about. We need to talk about. So, welcome. If you are going to be watching this after the live show, don't forget to share, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. And if you're watching this right now live, just welcome in. Don't forget to share, don't forget to like, and you know how we do it, right? Don't be mad because me, I'll be sipping on tea so from time to time today. You can hear it from my voice. Mhm. So today is power packed. Like the house is full today, full with knowledgeable people. In fact, everybody has a title. Everybody get title. I think I have to humble my own title. I have to humble my title, people. Everybody have title, and today's topic is one that will shake the fabrics of everything that I think you believe in at some point. So, welcome. As we always do it, don't forget to just let us know where you're watching from. Just say, hi, I'm this person watching from that place. And if you're watching us from YouTube, there's a poll right there with the question. We want to hear or see what you think about the question for today, okay? So, our topic for today, before I go into our topic for today, I'm going to bring in my fellow co-hosts, and then we will introduce our special guest. So now bringing up our co-host, let me pull them up from the background. Okay, you're ready to cue the audience, right? Okay, good. So I'm gonna bring in our co-host right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll begin with our wonderful coach in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chatroom with Max. After a long, long time, Coach Lillian, everybody. Welcome to the show, Coach. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's good to be back. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
How have you been, Coach?
I've been all right. Trying to survive each day, and facing everything the way it comes, but taking one day at a time.
Yeah, I know. That's all we can do.
I miss
Just
you all.
we miss you too, Coach. We miss you too.
Thank you.
Chatroom misses you. Everybody has been asking, "Where's Coach Lillian? Where's Coach Lillian?" And I'm like, "Don't worry, she's coming. She's coming." You know.
Thank
So,
you.
welcome to the show. Are you ready for the topic
Thank
of
you.
today, Coach?
As usual, yes, I am. I am
Ladies and
ready.
gentlemen, introducing to you our wonderful, wonderful, the one, the only, Dr. Tolu. welcome. Welcome, Doctor. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you.
How was your week, Doctor?
Awesome. It's great to be here. Can't complain. The Lord is good.
Yeah. Technician, come. Why are you putting me on top and then you're leaving Doctor down there? I'm humble. I'm humble.
Mm,
I'm humble.
hallelujah.
So
Mm,
take me down and put Doctor up. Come on, what are you
mm,
doing? Thank you very much. Now,
glory.
Hallelujah.
Mm.
Doctor, you're supposed to be up there. Oh gosh.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
So Doctor, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm sure you were kind of surprised to see Coach in the house today.
My heart is happy. I'm glad that my
I'm
sister is
happy
here.
to see
No. At some
I'm
point,
happy to
everybody
see
will be
you
asking,
guys.
where's Coach Lily? I'm like, people should leave me alone. Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's
But
Don't
we're
worry.
happy to have you back, Coach. We're happy to have you.
Yes. We're glad to have her.
Yeah. Before we bring in our special guest, let's take one or two comments coming in, and then we would bring in our special guest, and we'll go from there. We have a comment from I am Adora Music. Oh, hi Adora, welcome to the show. Adora is a great music minister. You should listen to her songs. Like I've done like dance 1 minute video of her songs. We'll talk about that later. She says, "This is Adora. You're are you running? I will vote." You want to vote for me?
Mm.
Thank you very much. I have one vote.
Already?
Doctor, coach. I don't think doctor will vote for me. Doctor doesn't like me like that. Yeah, you see, she's Robbie Abia. I know coach will vote for me. President
Depends
Abi.
on what you have on your manifesto.
Thank you, Jare, my
Okay, what
sister.
I have on my manifesto is I will give you money. I will spray you with money every day.
Ewo.
No,
Yeah, that's why I'm not gonna vote for you. Okay.
Okay,
I
okay,
won't
fine.
vote for you.
Fine. I'll build bridges that goes to nowhere.
No, bro. No.
Okay, we have a comment from Rachel. Rachel Pearl, she says, welcome, Coach Lily. We miss you. Yeah.
Thank you. Miss you all.
She says, welcome, our
Thank
incredible
you.
doctor.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sis.
So, people, as we always do it, please and please and please don't forget to share. You guys have been doing an awesome job as chat room has actually is where we're getting close to like 3,000 subscribers now.
Hey.
All the way from down there. We're getting to like 3,000. You guys are doing awesome. So please don't forget to hit the like button where you're watching this from. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that notification tab so you know just when we're on. Lastly, don't forget to share. Share, 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 share. Sharing is caring, okay? Where did they say sharing is caring in the Bible? Okay, it's not the Bible that said it's our people.
Oh my.
Sharing is caring. Before doctor come and tell me I should give her references.
You know I will ask, right? You know
Eh,
I will
I
ask.
know that's why I had to catch it quick and say it's our people.
Mhm.
Anything I don't have reference to, I just channel it to our people.
Mhm. I'm just saying. Mhm.
So before we bring in our special guest, ladies, what do you think about the topic for today? Should your religious leader run for political office? Should your
Mm.
religious leader run for political office? What do you think about this topic?
You just like to shake tables. That's all I can say.
I know. Shaking table is part of what we do here. If we don't shake
Shakingtables.com.
yeah, I know. I think we need to change. We need to go from chat room with Mex #shakingtable.com.
That's it.
Ah, yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, we always want to bring you the best to the best people in the world to do justice to topics that we bring up. And that's why you have everybody here today. And this our special guest is in fact we say okay, instead of getting you people Coach Lillian and Doctor that you are familiar with, let's bring education into chat room. Let's bring a full professor, a whole professor,
Yes, sir.
a real professor, not just
Mhm.
but a real professor to do justice to this topic. And in fact, let me just bring him on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, our one and only Professor Adedoyin.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank
Welcome,
you.
welcome, welcome, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you
Welcome
so
to
much.
the show. Wow, wow. In fact, people listen, right? While we had him, he was giving a seminar, right, doctor? You were
Yes,
giving.
yes, yes. Currently at a conference presentation, so I had to run out to come here.
There you go. He had to leave the conference to just come and educate you guys on this particular topic. So
Mhm.
keep your ears open, hit that share button so that you would help everybody that you know. Okay. So Prof, let's get to meet you. Let's know more about you, sir. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much for the invitation. I do appreciate all the hosts and all the audience. My name is Christon, like son of Christ, Christon Adedoyin. Originally born in Nigeria, schooled in Nigeria, participated in a lot of the what I would call the grassroots politics in Nigeria. Went to university in Nigeria. I read economics, and the Lord brought me to the US to study PhD in social work. And after my PhD, I decided to go get another degree in theological studies. And the reason I did that was basically, to have what I would call that education and certification to talk about issues like this. My research basically is an intersection of faith and social work, and of course, just to have that credibility to talk among pastors and other people in the spiritual domain. I decided to go get a master's in theological studies at BC Divinity School, Stanford University, where I currently work.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. See, people, he did not just stop just halfway. He wanted to, go really deep down so he understands what he talks about. So when he talks, he talks with, with knowledge. And we're getting that knowledge here today. So thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Thank you very much for joining us. Yes, sir. So the topic that we have today is one that we know that has actually affected the fabrics of our churches today and even our mosques today. It has affected our religious society because we see things happening and we tend to not really want to think about it. A lot of people would just want to, if it's the Lord's doing, if it's God's doing, inshallah or whatever. But my question for today, the first question I'm going to ask, because I just want us to get talking a little bit before we dive into the main topic of the day. So, people, what do you all think about religion and politics? Religion and politics. I need someone to define religion and someone else to define politics, and then someone else will now tell us where of them gets involved. So I would want us to. Oh, I don't want to put our special guest on the spot real quick. So, Doctor, you want to begin with some?
No, Minister Mex, this is how you cause trouble. You see, we're in the presence of a theologian, and you are asking us to define religion. Is it not trouble you are looking for?
Doctor, okay, define politics. Talk politics. Then our theologian will talk religion.
Okay. I think politics is a process, is a system of being, of electing leadership that people have collectively decided to follow. Notice that is the ideal. Is a way of leadership that a group of people have decided collectively to pursue.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Coach, do you have any other definition for politics, or you want to add to what she just said?
No, let's just keep it rolling now. She has said it. So
okay, perfect.
Keep going.
Perfect. So our professor, sir, religion. Can you just tell us about religion?
Well, I mean, when you look at religion, I think it's always good to distinguish between religion and spirituality.
Yes.
Because people will tell you, people do confuse both. I would say religion, let me start with spirituality. Spirituality is private, religion is public.
Okay.
Spirituality, you could actually be spiritual and not religious. And that's why I said the definition is very important. However, you can't be religious and not spiritual.
True.
So when we look at spirituality, like I said, it is basically an individualized expression of your belief in the supernatural or the transcendence. However, when you look at religion is an organized way of doing spirituality. So when you are religious, you actually belong to a group. There is a group identity. It is more institutionalized. So when you talk about religion, you're talking about a collective of the spiritual. You're talking about people who come together under one umbrella or under one ethos to express their spirituality. So just simply stated, I would say religion is macro and spirituality is micro. So so one thing that basically distinguishes both is that one is private, which is spirituality, and one is public, which is, and of course, it's a membership of an organization that is religion.
So, diving further into that, do you think that today a lot of people focus more into religion rather than spirituality. Like they're
Mm.
more religious rather than spirituality. And if so, you also think that what will actually get us our end goal for Christians going to heaven, do you think it's going to be based on religion or spirituality?
Oh, is that for me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, actually, that's a very, very complex question to answer. Of course, one of the things people, I mean, there is no, when we talk about going to heaven or when we talk about the transcendence, people will tell you that, your spirituality actually gets better enhanced when you become a member of a group. Now, that group is what we call the church or what we call a religious organization. It could be Muslim, it could be Christian, it could be any other religious group broadly defined. And therefore, there are theological arguments for and against this. And I'll give you theological arguments against this with pure biblical references.
Mm-hmm.
The thief on the right hand side of Christ did not attend a church for one day, and it was the first harvest of Christ into heaven. So how do you argue that? He never attended a church, never attended anything. He wasn't even baptized.
Yep.
And yet, Jesus said, "Today you shall be with me in paradise." So he got into heaven with Christ even before Apostle John and Peter.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Huh.
Okay, we can fast forward to Acts chapter 2. And in Acts chapter 2, we can see the first, formal inauguration of the church when Christ ascended. And so that's why I said it depends. What happens to some of our brothers and sisters who probably are in some of the most persecuted parts of the world where they practice their faith in their house. We could actually say they are spiritual. And that does not in any way diminish or minimize, their membership of the body of Christ. And of course, when we go to Mark chapter 8, when Jesus said, "I will build my church and the gates of hell will not prevail against it," he wasn't talking about the structure. He was talking about the people. And so what we've done with religion is that we've institutionalized it. It is institutionalized. We've basically made it organized into a structure. But we've got to realize that COVID also made us to see for the very first time that church could run online without meeting people. So I think situations basically is redefining spirituality. So what I want to quickly round up with is this. In the wake of COVID, or what I would say one of the aftermath of COVID, it has actually accentuated spirituality more than religiosity. And that is why you see that churches will tell you that church attendance has not basically, caught up with pre-COVID era. Because people just realize that, while I can be a member of a church, it does not in any way minimize my personal spirituality. Of course, I do strongly advise that people should belong to a body, to a church or a religious organization, because that is where your spiritual giftings and callings can be better expressed, and of course, where you can actually grow as well.
Wow. Okay. Wow. I'm in school right now. I'm going through theological school for free right now.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Huh. That's beautiful. Adora Music says, hello, welcome. So, now let's just go straight into the topic of the day because we need to trash this as soon as possible. The topic of the day is: should your religious leader run for a political office? Should your religious leader run for a political office? So let's just think about that for some few seconds while we go on this quick commercial break, and we'll be back. While we're on the commercial break, everybody watching from home, watching after the replay, please don't forget to like where you're watching this from, subscribe and share, because we need your support. We're not asking you for money, okay? We're not asking you for money. We need your support. So let's All right, welcome back to the show. So we've been we've been sailing smoothly, and we're now going into the nitty gritty of today's topic, which is, should your religious leader run for political office? Should your religious leader run for political office? And with me to do justice to this topic is Professor Adedoyin, Coach Lillian, Dr. Tolu, and we're actually doing this right now. So please and please post your questions, whatever question you have, whatever comment you have, post them, write them, and just hit enter, and we would answer every single question that you have. Okay, because hey, we're here for you. Okay, we're here for you. So let's go straight into, let's go back to everybody. So now the question: should your religious leader run for political office? Politics and religion, do you think they would ever be a meeting point, or do you think there's any time in this world that we can marry politics and religion together? Who wants to go first? I'll just throw it in the air.
Okay, let me say something.
Go ahead.
So when I posted this on my WhatsApp status, a brother replied me and said, "Oh, of course, David was both king and a priest." And I was feeling very Christian that day, so I did not reply him the reply that came to my mind.
Hallelujah.
Which was, David did not run for office. He was appointed and anointed to that office. So, I wasn't in the mood to argue that day, so I left it alone. But going back, doing research, you asked, is it possible that religion and politics can intersect in a healthy kind of way? The times that great movements have happened for the good of mankind, many times it has been headed by religious people. If we think of the abolition of the slave trade in Britain, William Wilberforce essentially gave almost 20 years of his life to persuade Britain. He and some other people, the rules of, now there are other people who have another narrative about that matter, and everyone is really truly entitled to their own opinion. But from my understanding of it, he gave 20 years of his life so that Britain could end abolition without bloodshed, without war, the one thing America could not accomplish. Secondly, the civil rights movement in America, like one of the leading figures, in fact, many of the leading figures were reverends, and I found it very interesting. Of course, the person that's most known to most people is the Reverend Martin Luther King. And he, through his sermons and through his speeches, was literally able to move the conscience of this nation forward to the point where we are today, essentially starting in the 60s. So I say this to say that movements, yes, but for a believer, talk less of an ordained minister. Remember when Christ was brought before Pilate, and he said, your followers say that you're a king. Are you truly a king? And Christ said, thou sayest. For this reason I was born, to bear witness to the truth. So, Pilate was like, what is the truth? So you're a king then? He said, my kingdom is not of this world. Else my servants would have fought for me, and I would not be in this situation. But because this thing has been preordained, right? You all know how that scripture went. My point is, can you picture the Apostle Peter running for office? Can you honestly picture the Apostle Paul running for office? It's a weird picture, as in you can't even put it together. Can you picture the saints of old? That's what I'm saying. It's not the fact that as human beings, they don't have a civil obligation to the societies they live in, but the called of Christ have a different call on their life. And somehow, I don't see how they can run for political office. Notice I did not say if they are appointed for civic duty, they can't take it up. No, the question right here, as narrowly as we have defined it, is an ordained minister of Christ running, as in for political office, running a political campaign, From my point of view, I think it's hard. I think it's unnecessarily hard, because at some point, there's no way they will not bring reproach. It's just from where I'm sitting. It's just hard. It's just hard. I'm gonna leave it alone right there.
Okay. Who wants to take the next tab?
Okay, let me go. Let me talk a little bit. I'm trying to take my time because I just came back,
Yeah.
So I would like to start by saying thank you to the professor for defining
Mhm.
what spirituality and religion is to us.
Hmm.
Then, secondly, I really want to ask, like Doctor said, when you look at the Bible, apart from, we know about David, that they said, oh, ordain that boy, go get him. How many people were really officially or with the protocol that the religious body is doing now, that they are, ordain and pour so many oil and water on their head? In the Bible, how many people were doing that? Because the Bible said that when you receive Christ, you've been given that mandate to go and preach. So when you look at it, we all indirectly are preachers. You don't have to kneel down and somebody pouring all the water and all the oil on your head. Yes,
Mm.
but like you said, if somebody has an office by running a church, that is already that person's job. So he or she might not want to come out from there, like our political leaders now, our religious leaders who are overseeing their churches and all that. They will not want to come out to go and run for political office or offices. Why? Because it's not as if they're going to compromise. Some of them will do worse. You understand?
Mhm.
Because they already have a business. So for me, where I'm heading to with this is that if you are a Christian, I don't want to use the word just religious leaders. Who is a religious leader? Minister Meg, a religious leader, because you are
There
a
we
minister.
go.
So if you have the gift to want to rule the people with all honesty, like Martin Luther King, and you are a Christian, there is nothing wrong in running for political office. But
Okay.
another thing that is in there that I wrote one story is, where is this politics, or where is this thing taking place? Is it America or Africa? Because when you look at the people who are in politics here, most of them are religious, they're Christians. Just that they are not holding positions or having churches.
Church, yeah.
But when you talk about Africa, it's a different scenario altogether, because
Mhm.
we have a lot of Christians who are in the political office that are worse than people who don't even go to church.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the sincerity of the heart and speaking the truth on behalf of the people. Let me leave it there. We're still going to come back because, it's a very deep conversation that we have to deal with so that people don't get confused too the more.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Can
Prof,
I pipe in real quick there?
please go ahead.
I think it was you I was telling that there was a reverend father, a Roman Catholic reverend father in America, I think in the
What?
60s, who ran for office, and the media thought they would have a little fun with him, and they
Yeah.
labeled him, anytime they was referred to him, they would say, "Our father who art in Congress." Because he ran for office, but at some point, I think it was Pope John Paul II, gave him an ultimatum that, bro, either you want to serve the church or you want to serve the society, but you can't have both. So in the end, he did. His church, the Roman Catholic Church, did insist on him leaving that position to return to what they considered his primary vocation, as you call it, of being a reverend father. So he did. Resign that position in Congress, but it was fun while it lasted. The media wouldn't let us hear the last of it.
Okay. Wow. So, before.
I wanted to just put in a little word there, that what doctor said, and give an example. So
Yes.
you see what you just said now.
Yeah.
So you can't do both. You have to make a choice. And I'm giving you an example with what happened recently. I think it's last year or 2 years ago. I'm not sure exactly now, but it should be last year. Maybe if I mention the story, you guys you know what I'm saying. So there's a pastor in Redeem who left Redeem. He is based in the US here. He's one of the top notch of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, who feels that going to become a king in Nigeria is what he wants to do. So you're not going to be in both offices at the same time. That's why our own religious leaders in Africa will not go into politics. But this guy has decided that, you know what, going to his hometown of Ogbomoso, where he comes from, to go and become the king is going to serve him better. So he has to resign being a pastor. And now he was based in the USA. I really, really like him too. But he has to go. So you have to make a choice. You're not going to be in the same position. You know, if you want to run, you definitely have to resign. So I wanted to point that out. That it's possible.
Yeah, it's very, very possible. Actually, I was about to share that screen before our professor comes on to just talk about that, but I don't know, for some reason my system is not letting me. So, Prof, what do
Yes,
you
I'm going to basically look at it from a purely theological angle. I mean, I'm not going to use the scripture to justify my position, but I want us to reflect on a very, very, very salient thing in scripture. So I'm going to read from Luke chapter 6, from verse 13. I mean, this is Jesus calling disciples. And at times when you see certain things in scripture, I believe we have to pause and think, what is this for? So in naming the disciples, like you know the names of these disciples, I'm just quickly going to rush through. They said it was, well, when it was day, Luke 6, 13 to 15, Jesus called the disciples to himself, and from them he chose 12, who he named apostles. Simeon, whom he named Peter, and Andrew his brother, James and John, Philip and Bartholomew, Matthew and Thomas, James the son of Alphaeus, and Simeon called the Zealots. Who is the Zealots? The Zealots, theologically, is a political party. So the Zealots, basically, their goal is actually to establish the Mosaic theocracy. So the Zealots are politicians. You know, they're also called the Canaanites. So just think about it, why would Jesus call a politician to be his disciple? And then why would a Christian want to go and become a politician? I'm not saying Christians should not participate in politics. I'm saying that why would Jesus call Simeon the Zealot? And you see, the interesting thing when I was researching on this was this. Jesus then in Matthew chapter 9 called Matthew, who was a tax collector.
Yeah.
So what Jesus was trying to tell us is this, that in his kingdom and in his own government, it is an open space for everybody, irrespective of their political affiliation. But see, the important thing was this. Simeon, the Zealot, was a person who was actually fighting for the Jewish independence and throwing up of the Roman government.
Yeah.
So he was a revolutionary. He was a person. And at the end of the day, guess what? As a matter of fact, Bible scholars will tell you that Simeon the Zealot was probably the second person, because the Bible tells us in the book of Luke and Matthew during the Passion of the Christ that there were two people who had sword. Peter being one, and the historians and Bible theologians will tell you the second person who had the second sword was Simeon the Zealot. So what I'm trying to articulate here is this. If Christ could cut two people, Matthew, who was working for the Roman government, and you see, the Bible uses a phrase, and they left all. And they left all. And so if Christ could call Simeon the Zealot, whose number one mission is inciting people to rebellion, to overthrow the Roman government, and to reestablish the Mosaic theocracy, then why would a believer who has been called into any of the fivefold offices in Ephesians chapter 4 and 5 say that, okay, you know what, I'm tired, fulfilling my ministry, and therefore I want to go and I want to go into politics. And one of the things I just quickly want to drop is this. These are two diametrically opposed governments. And like you rightly said, that was why, one other thing I'm going to quickly drop here is this. In John chapter 6, after Jesus had multiplied bread, the Bible says they came, the men, all the people. And in John chapter 6, reading that scripture very deeply, you realize there were three groups of people there. The Jewish leaders, the Jewish community, and the religious leader. Something happened in John chapter 6. They actually attempted to make Jesus king. And he ran away.
Oh yeah.
So if Jesus ran away from being made king, and in our contemporary time, we think the next thing for us to become is to become a king that Jesus ran away from, then I think the answer is in the explanation.
Oh, Oh, it's getting warm in here. Hmm.
But I wanted to ask the doctor a question.
Wow.
As a regular Christian,
Yeah.
you know, who is not having any position, can't you run for a political office?
Well, okay. You wanted to ask doctor that question.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, not me. Oh, him. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
Professor.
because when we
No,
look at it, like we made reference to Martin
So
Luther
that's
King,
Prof.
he is
Prof.
a Christian. I mean, sorry to Prof. That's what I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, that's a
You
very
know?
good question, Coach. Coach Leader, that's a
Yes.
very good question. I wouldn't say you shouldn't run for office if you are so called. You know, we are not limiting Christians from participating in the political
Yes.
system. Some people are actually called.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Tolu basically mentioned Martin Luther King. However, when you look at Martin Luther King and the other Christians in the South, and of course throughout the nation, organized what they did through what is called the Southern Christian Leadership Conference.
Yeah.
So most times when you see the influence of Christians in politics, it actually comes as an organized entity that is not within the political party. Otherwise,
Yes.
you would have to go through the channels and through what I would call the structure of the political party. There are Christians that are called to public service. However, like we've basically articulated, most times they are appointed and not elected.
Elected, yeah.
It does not necessarily mean that there aren't Christians that can be elected. As a matter of fact, I have to disclose this. When I was in Nigeria, I had actually, I was part of some of a political party. It was called the National Reformation Party. That was a party that was established by the late Chief Anthony Enaro. So we had a very good Christian brother who was a senator, who I was I worked with him, I was very close with him. That's Senator Peter Adeyemo. He used to be in AD, Alliance for Democracy. He moved to National Reformation Party. He was the governorship candidate in Oyo State at that time. And so he came around to churches to mobilize church members to actually get a Christian to vote in Oyo State. At that election, the late Chief Lamadeshino won the election for AD. So, but Senator Adeyemo at that time was able to articulately tell us what his mission was, and we all supported him. One other person I'm going to talk about, two people. The former Senate president in Nigeria, that's Pius Aim. I've also met him at least once. I met him at least once. Was also a believer, Assemblies of God Church. So there are Christians who actually have a calling. So like Coach Lillian rightly said, you don't see them as pastors before moving to that position. They are probably church members who are good believers, who are elders, or who are basically other believers. One other person I know very well, I've met and I've really interacted with, was the former Speaker of Oyo State House of Assembly. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria now. That's Honorable Aki Onigbide. Very good gentleman, Christian man. He served with Pastor Femi Emmanuel. Pastor Femi Emmanuel was his deputy then. Pastor Femi Emmanuel also he's always been a Christian. And so for the first time in Oyo State, we had two Christians who was a speaker. That's Honorable Aki Onigbide, who is SAN, Senior Advocate of Nigeria now, and Pastor Femi Emmanuel, who is currently a pastor and of course who has been basically encouraging the Nigerian church to get involved in politics. So the exception is always there, but it's always not enough. So that's what I just wanted to articulate.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're still engaged. I hope you can you're getting clarity on this topic. The topic again is, should your religious leader run for a political office? Should your religious leader run for a political office? Please let us know if you have any question. Just type it on the comment section. If you're watching from your television at home, just take your phone, go to the YouTube page, and then just type your questions from there. We'll go on a 10 seconds break, and then we'll be right back. Alrighty.
Hi, so glad you are here with us today in Chat Room with Mex. I am Kay and I hope you are having fun. Please subscribe, like, and lastly share. We need to let the world know what we are enjoying here today in the chat room. Now let's go back to the show.
Welcome back. So, everybody is giving very, very valid points. And I want to say something, right? And what I have to say is this. So Lillian asked a question, but her question was geared towards Christians in the church. You know, I do not have a problem with Christians in the church running for political offices. But I do have a problem with the leaders, like pastors, imams, religious leaders in general, people that came out to say God specifically called me to run the church, to now God is calling me to run the country. They are two different things. I'm sorry. Country, church, two different things. Now, I just can't imagine if a pastor ends up being a pastor of a church, ends up being a president of a particular country. What would happen? How is he going to rule, especially with his church in mind? There's bound to be some bias somewhere, even if it's unknowingly. You're going to have to do something that would go against the norm. So there's a reason why everything should be separated, and it hurts when I hear men of God come out and tell people God told me to run for this election, and I'm running, I'm putting in my, I'm putting my hat in, and I'm running for this post, and God told me I'm gonna win. God told you you're gonna win, yet you did not win. Did God change his mind? No, he did not change his mind. Maybe it was your heart that told you to run, and you called it God. So we need to differentiate between God telling me this and God telling me that. There's this article I want to share. There's this article I've been trying to share, but I don't know, for some reason. Okay, yeah, I think it will share now. Yes, this is the article. This is from our wonderful Senator Dino Milai. Senator Dino says, God called me 3 times and said, Atiku is our next president. That was what he said.
You bring up a very interesting point, and that is when people say God told me.
Yes.
I don't argue with people who say God spoke to them, because one, I was not there. 2, somebody most likely spoke to them. See, my issue is, if you go back to the insanity pleas, and you'll understand why I'm bringing this up soon. The insanity pleas that people used to bring in the courts in the US sometime in the 70s and the 80s, and even the 90s. Somebody kills someone and you say, why did you do it? God told me to. It was at that point that, you begin to cast, like, literally professional. Of course, they'll bring a psychiatrist to come in and say, you're crazy, right? You're hearing voices, you're crazy, right? Now, unfortunately, we have not learned from that experience, and either from want of teaching or just frank ignorance, people assume that every voice that is not their own, that is speaking to them, is God.
Exactly.
That right there is how every major cult, every major para-Christian cult rose, because somebody spoke to someone. Now, do I doubt that somebody spoke to them? At all, I don't doubt it. There are spiritual entities floating about, speaking to people every day, and they assume that it is the voice of God that spoke to them. Now, this person has come along and says, God called me thrice and yada, yada, yada. Do I doubt that somebody called him? Nope, I have no issues with that, because somebody speaks to people every day. Like you said before, how is it that we have such little fear of God these days? That people tack his name onto every silly idea that comes out of their mouths. And they say, oh, God told me this and God told me that. What is more annoying is that they are not stoned to death when what they said, the Almighty said, did not happen. And everybody just carries along, floats along as if, oh, all is well, it's not a problem. It is a major problem. It is. And that brings me back to the comment Coach Lillian said, that God told our brother that he's supposed to be king. You can't argue that.
No.
In fact, we deal with facts. Yeah. This is the article right here.
Yes, Pastor Gandhi. I didn't want to mention his name. He's resigns to become the Oso or whatever for Bomosho. So the thing is not that for me, I feel is what he wants, because when he becomes the whatever of Ogbomishona, he's going to give more exposure and more money. But I want to quickly go in there. Sorry to cut you, Dr. Tolu. I don't mean to
No,
do
no,
that.
no worry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank God that we have professor in the house who has studied
Mhm.
theology. So I'm talking from the layman's perspective now. You understand? Why is it that it's only Africans that is always seeing God talk to them? You understand? Only Africans, we see God talk to us when we are sleeping, when we are bathing, when we are doing everything. For Dino Melaye, he's a comedian and an actor. So
And a musician too.
and a musician. So when he says that, I just know that he's trying to just get some, whatever, I like him. I don't hate him, but I won't take his own seriously. But it's a common thing now, because Africans, some of them are very ignorant. They are blinded. They don't think for themselves anymore. Anything you say God, they buy it. You
That's
say
it.
money, they jump at it. So that is the problem. And it's only in Africa you see God is speaking to them when they wake up. They don't even say my mind, or maybe I was thinking about it. They don't say it anymore. So I'm not even going to think about Dino Melayozo, because I'm not
Coach, you
saying
see, you see,
every time. He's
this
a
is what
joker.
this is
You
what me I think,
understand?
right? This is what I think. I think one of the major problems here is Africans do not believe 100. It hasn't sunk in yet that mental illness is real.
Yes.
It hasn't.
Yes.
A lot of people, listen, if a madman goes on the street today, wear suit and begin to say, "Thus says the Lord," people will kneel down in front of that madman to listen and be
Yes.
raising hands up.
I actually think so. Yes.
As long as you say you had,
I
everybody's
agree.
eager to jump in.
Same.
We are so
Yeah.
spiritual. I'm not saying there is anything wrong in being spiritual.
We're religious.
We are exactly like we're so religious to the point that we are blinded by it.
Mm-hmm.
Like so blinded. When you've dealt with patients, when you've dealt with someone who has a lot of psych experience with patients and all that, when you've dealt with patients that the person will be telling you, "Oh yeah, I'm talking with God right now. In fact, I just had breakfast with God, carry phone and call God." All these things.
My
That's
grandmother
when
is
you will
just
know
talking
that
to me.
that's when you know that when you see that pastor that they show on TV that carried phone one day and say, "You people think I'm joking. In fact, let me call God. Hello,
Hmm?
is this heaven? God,
What?
how are you? You know,
What?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
you didn't see that, Dr.
No,
Tolu?
no, please. What? Sorry, sorry. I'm in the dark. What happened?
I
the
was
pastor
calling
in church,
heaven.
during service took his phone and said, "Hey, you people think I'm, if I hold on, let me call God. Pam, 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 pam.
No,
Hello,
no.
is this heaven? Oh God, how are you, sir? Da, 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 da." Yeah. And he went on and on. And people will be shouting, "Yes, Papa, yes."
Oh, come on. That's a movie skit. Come on.
No, it was real.
Happened.
It's
It
I
was
real.
saw
real.
it too.
I saw it.
It's real.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. And a huge congregation. Very
What?
big.
So that's why I said, if I'm privileged to be made the president of Nigeria just for 3 months or 6 months, I'll make sure I close down a lot of churches, for sure. I'm sorry to say that. I'll close it, because I think, adding to what Minister Max said, people have not realized that when they say mental illness, I just want to clear that. It doesn't mean that you're crazy and naked on
Yeah.
the street.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people who wear suits to the office who have mental issues and they take medication.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of our people in the community, because of poverty, I won't call it ignorance anymore. I think it's poverty, frustration. They are beginning to have that slowly, but they don't even realize it. And it's still going to take a lot of time for people to realize what we are saying now.
Yeah.
It will take a lot of time.
Oh, yeah.
Time.
When someone will sit down in their house and be hearing voices, oh, ta, 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 the person fails to realize that that might be, schizophrenia or something
Yes.
else. You're hearing voices, you just come out, "Oh, I had a voice. The voice was telling me you're going to be great. You're going to be," and the bad thing is we feed them
Yes.
instead of helping them. We feed that. So now, back to the topic on hand.
Mhm.
Just let's imagine, let's begin with a pastor. Let's imagine a big man of God, a pastor who is in charge of a huge following or in charge of a church. comes out, runs for politics, runs for a particular position, let's say president, and wins that election.
Hmm.
What do you think is going to happen? How do you think, like, what do you think is going to happen to the country?
Crumble.
It depends on the person's personal qualifications. Because if it's somebody who is educated, somebody who has been in the public sphere, somebody maybe who runs a business, highly doubtful. But if it's somebody who has run a business, who's run an organization, who has any sort of leadership skills, he might be able to, wumble and fumble and, not, sell the entire country to hell in a handbasket. He may just actually be able to function. But because of our African setting, that is highly, highly doubtful. A lot of people who run for political, maybe things are changing now, but in the olden days, a lot of people who ran for political office had very little leadership training, experience, had very little leadership experience, particularly in the public sphere. So they literally are not prepared in any way aside from political backing and money to do the thing that they're running for. But Coach Lillian, the reason why I mentioned the hearing of God, particularly in Pastor Gandhi's case, was because I did watch an interview that he gave that is unfortunately no longer publicly available, where he did say he heard the voice of God telling him, "You were born for such a time as this." Yes, though I heard it with my two native ears. And that video is no longer, publicly available right now. So, but he did say that. And I was like, okay, I can't argue with you when you bring I heard God into the matter. I really can't.
I'm
But
going to ask you a question when you finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before I want us to focus more on Professor, but before we focus on Professor, let's take two comments. This first comment, I think, was after I made a comment about the pastor not winning an election, and
maybe that person offended God during the campaign, so God changed his mind.
Oh, stop it!
Chief Odemo says,
I don't think religious leaders should run for office at all.
Yeah, that's just
Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's focus on Prof.
Yes. So I want to ask Professor a question.
Please go ahead.
Prof,
yes,
with the religious leaders that we have today in Nigeria, looking at them, they're successful, and yet people around them are suffering the more. They have schools that their members cannot afford. They are not thinking of helping to revive our hospitals. They don't even have industries. Those of them that tries to hire members don't pay them well. Do you think that such people, even though God calls them to go run for political office and they happen to win, do you think they will better that nation or make the nation worse?
Wow, that's a very deep question.
Oh yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, I'll be very practical, and again, I will try as much as possible to use scriptures. With respect to hearing God, one of the things we have to be very, very careful. The Bible tells us exclusively that one of the ways to know a prophetic gifting and a prophetic word is the confirmation of that word. So if a person tells you that God has called them, then let's just, like Dr. Tolu rightly said, let's just wait and see. Because the confirmation of what is happening would be the proof that the person had God correctly. We had I'm not going to mention names, but we had a pastor in Nigeria one time who said God told him he was going to be the president of Nigeria. I mean, as of the last time I checked, it's not at Asoro. And so we've had so many instances like that. And one other thing I quickly want to talk about in terms of hearing God. In the book of 1 Kings chapter 22, from 19 to 23, 1 Kings 22, one thing happened to King Ahab. We were told in the scripture that a lying spirit was sent from the presence of the Lord to speak to 400 prophets. And so that basically makes us basically pause and think that when you say God spoke to you to take certain decision, due diligence actually requires you to actually subject it to other people confirming it. Bible says out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, a matter is established. That's number one. In the book of Matthew 16:23, within a split second, I'm saying, in Matthew 16, 21, 22, Peter affirmed and said, Jesus said, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus said, flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. And right there and then, even in the presence of the Christ himself, Satan spoke to Peter.
Yep.
So what are we trying to say? So it is possible for you in this moment to hear the Christ of God and hear the voice of God. And instantly, even in the presence of the Lord Jesus Christ, Satan speaks to you. And we see that also in Luke 21, when Jesus was actually administering the Lord's Supper, the Passover. He said to Judas, the Bible says, and Satan entered into Judas right there at God's table. What am I trying to establish? I'm trying to tell you it is very possible that even in the presence of the Christ, in the presence of the Lord's table, Satan still has access.
Oh, yeah.
And so the due diligence I believe every one of us have to basically do is when you hear a voice like many of leaders, many of these religious leaders and pastors have heard, I think for such heavy matters, I would appreciate if those people could subject it to other leaders in the church, which was why I said, as good as it is to be spiritual, you still need the religious aspect. Because what the religious aspect does is what I would call the balancing for you. So if a person is not told him to go and do something, I would expect that person to actually defer to their leader to say, I add this. Could you help me verify if it is my voice, the devil's voice, or the Lord's voice?
Or the Lord
So
himself.
having said that, I'll quickly switch to Coach Lillian's question. Now, Coach Lillian question asks that, would pastors actually be good leaders? It depends on who the person is. And that's why we have to basically operationally define who a religious leader is. If we operationally define a religious leader, we would say a religious leader is somebody who has a calling, who has been ordained, who has practically left the world to be in Christ. And so if the person tells you that the Lord is now calling them to politics, I'll put it this way. Saint Augustine of Hippo, you probably have heard about him, wrote a book one time called The City of God. And he called it, the name of the book is it's called The City of God. And I think I'm trying to remember fully now. Let me just quickly, I don't want to pass on the wrong information. It's called The City of God Against the Pagans. In this book, St. Augustine mentioned two interesting things. You know, most times we talk about the right hand of God. Have you ever thought about the left hand of God? So he said the right hand of God is the church. That is the position of the Christ. And that is why we are all seated in the heavenly places, in the right hand of power. In the book of John, I think chapter 16 or 18, when Jesus was talking, one of the things that infuriated the religious leader was when he said, you shall shortly see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of God. They understood that language. And I was very angry with him that, oh my goodness, this is blasphemy. Now, St. Augustine of Hippo will tell you that the left hand of God are the other ways God governs the world. And of course, St. Augustine of Hippo will tell you that the left hand of God is the political and other administrative or non-church leadership roles. So the question is this: why would you want to move from the right hand of God to the left hand of God?
Left hand.
If God has put you on his right hand, why do you want to switch and say, God, I don't like the right hand, I want to move to the left hand?
The left.
I think the last time we checked, the person who tried to change his position in heaven, we know what he has, we know where he is and what confusion it caused. So back to Coach Lillian's question. Let's look at, I mean, there are many qualified Christians. Some of them are pastors. They may not be the top pastors who are fantastic public officers. The only concern I have is this. I was discussing with this Minister Mike before we came on here, and I was discussing with Dr. Tolu as well. The concern I have is this, and honestly, I stand to be corrected. When you look at, I did some, studies and research around the leadership styles in the church. The leadership style in the church will tell you that we have different types of leadership style. One of the very unfortunate leadership style we have in the church, which the literature has basically established, is that we have a lot of autocratic leaders in the church. Very dictatorial.
Very true.
And so, I mean, of course, people will tell you there are servant leaders in the church, there are shepherd leaders in the church, there are entrepreneurial leaders in the church, there are pastoral leaders. But however, I can tell you confidently, I was part of those who did the State of the Black Church. It's a new study published by a Banner Group, published I think early this year. And one of the things we found in that research, because I wrote a significant part of that study, was that one of the two complaints against church leadership in America, especially among the Black church, there are two things. Number one is sit-tight leadership. Leadership that does not have a succession plan. And number two is a leadership that is not accountable.
Oh, yeah.
Two top complaints people have about the Black church. And so if you permit me to extrapolate that, because most of the Pentecostal church structure in Nigeria basically fits from the American church dynamic.
Yeah.
Without getting into controversy, one of the challenges we have in the contemporary African Nigerian churches with specifics is succession plan, sit-tight leadership, unaccountable leadership, and therefore answer Coach Lillian's question. If unfortunately we have some of those leaders who don't want anybody to challenge them, because one of the things you know about the Nigerian church leadership is they don't want to be challenged.
No.
They don't want to be asked questions. They don't want to debate anybody. It is a command and control system. I tell you what, you dare not challenge me, or if you do, somebody goes back to Old Testament to bring when Moses was challenged, and of course the ground will open and you get swallowed. Or you that those who challenged Elisha, a bear came to kill them. Or somebody that anybody who does this, leprosy is going to fall upon them. You know, and I mean, of course, people bring up the story of Korah and all those who opposed to move. You know, so what I'm trying to say is this: we have some good gentlemen pastors. They may not be the top head of the church, who are good politicians, vast, well-read. I mean, permit me to use this. I mean, I'm not doing political advertisement for anybody. When you look at somebody like current Nigerian President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, just looking at profile, will tell you this guy is cerebral, well-read, well-schooled, and even before, to be honest, before he came into politics, one of the things people don't realize is this: is somebody who is married into a political family.
Yeah.
When I studied him, he was one of those who actually wrote the Constitution of Alliance for Democracy AD. So when you look at him, he is a politician, even though he basically also serves in the pastoral role. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say, and when you look at his own ascendancy to power, he was actually nominated.
True.
So I mean, and of course, people will tell you that most of the times when he served as president, when the president wasn't available, things basically improved, or things changed, or things went the right direction. I mean, without endorsing him or probably campaigning for him, what I'm trying to say, you have some very cerebral, intelligent Christians, who can serve. But if we look at the others, pastors who are very autocratic, very, very dictatorial, if you have them in power, honestly, I don't think they may probably in the mold of Mobutu Sese Seko and some other well-known people of the world. So, Lillian, I think I've tried my
kill the country.
Okay, we're gonna let's go on this very short break, and then we'll be back to take some comments, and then we'll continue. This is heat, like this is really,
it is warm.
Oh my god, the ground is shaky. I can't even stand anymore. Yeah, let's go.
It's your boy Matt. I want to introduce a show to you. It's called Chat Room with Max.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the primary sign usually on an adult in a domestic violence situation are bruises.
God gave him a talent, and the Bible says your gift will make a way.
When we sit there and we blame God for the things that are happening in our lives, no, God never told me to lay down with that man.
All right, welcome back. Thank you for coming. Thank you for still staying with us. Okay, let's do this. Don't forget to like where you're watching this from. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Do not forget to hit that notification tab just so you know when we're on. And lastly, please share. Okay, the whole world needs to hear about this. Okay, the whole world needs to hear about this, and that's why we're here. That's why we're talking. That's why we're educating you. We're enlightening you. We're just letting you know about things happening, giving you advice, bringing professionals. You know what it took to get prof on this show. Yeah, he had to leave what he was doing to join us to just talk to you guys. So come on, okay? So let's take some comments. Some comments as promised. Okay, where are we going from now? Okay.
Uche Nongo.
Yeah, Uchenongo says.
Religious leaders should remain on the pulpit, but they must participate in election, including encouraging their followers.
Yeah, yeah. I do agree with that. Thank you very much, Uche, for this comment. I think this is your first time on the show. Thank you for joining the show.
Yeah, she's my friend.
Oh, nice, nice.
Hey,
So
Uche.
subscribe, okay? So you know when we're on. Thank you very much for joining. We have another comment from Adora Okpala MD. She says,
Yes, religious leaders should participate in election, but be committed to the call of God.
Hmm.
okay. When I saw the comment, I knew we needed to sit here for a little bit.
Okay.
Do you guys think it's possible to balance both callings?
How do you mean?
You can be a president and still be a pastor effectively.
How? Both are full-time vocations.
Okay.
You know, they already said it earlier. If you have a church, that's going to be hard. But if you don't have a church, like Pastor Sibanjo, who to me, I haven't seen what he has done in Nigeria. Maybe he has done something. If you don't have a particular church, you're just a member pastor. Yes, you can do that. I think this religious thing, we have to come another day to talk about it, because Prof had a lot to
I
really
know.
us from that, you know, the educational part, theological part of it. Because
Yeah.
for me, whether the African American pastors or the pure African pastors, what they are doing is individual business,
Yeah.
using the word religion to cover. And I'm sure some of them don't even hide it. You understand? Because if you are a pastor that they say, oh, they hear this hearing from God, nine just they tire me, I know they like him too much.
That's a long time.
You understand? Everybody will fit hear from God. But how are you hearing from God that you have a church, you have a school, and like you said something. I wrote some of them down here. You know, they don't have successors. They are not accountable to anybody. If you talk to them, they shut you down. And you are building like a multi-billion real estate business for your children. I was asking somebody one day, I said, listen, we have to be wise, because if you're not wise, you're going to, even as a man, you're going to have a problem with your wife, because throughout the year, you will never go on vacation with your wife. Because all you do is go to church
practice.
you are harvesting souls, you are running to chase souls, then you don't have time to go on vacation. And whereas the big pastors, their children are all doing cruises. Go on YouTube. Most of their kids are YouTubers. They go on cruises. They tell you how they enjoy the cruise. And like you said, they are all on the top hem of affairs of the churches. That is
I want to correct something you said.
Yes, please.
Feel free to recorrect me.
Yes.
When you said they don't have successors, they have successors.
No, they have successors.
It's just that the successors are in the family.
Exactly. So that is not what the white man's church, what they do. When you look at the Baptists here, I stand to be corrected. When you look at the Baptist church here, it's franchise. When you look at the Assemblies of God, it's franchise. When you go to their Bible school, if you feel like they don't tell you whether God is calling you, if you are led to be a pastor of a church, you can have sponsors that you are accountable to, that becomes the board of members, or so that you can run that church and bring people to Christ.
I think we should let's make that a topic on its own. Just as
let's make it a topic. Let's leave it as a topic.
Let's make that a topic on its own.
Let's focus on this. Yes.
When
I want
to
ask the professor again. Yes. I'll ask him a question. So who is a religious leader really? Because to me, well, let me not say my own. Who is that religious leader that I don't know how to put this question now, because we're saying, okay, can a religious leader come into power? Most of them that owns churches, they know that the power they are getting as a church papa, that everybody's lying down to whatever they say, they won't get it when they become president.
Oh
So that's
no, I don't agree. There's a reason the pastor.
I also do not agree.
yeah, maybe
There's a
no,
reason the pastor that Prof mentioned wanted to run for president. There's a
Uh-huh.
reason. It's one thing to lead
There's
7,000
a level
people.
you grow to.
Mhm.
I won't mention their name. There are some of them, the level that they are the ones who are even, in charge of
Put
government
those
because they
people where
live
they
in
are.
the government.
They
You
become
understand that?
kingmakers.
There are some of them, exactly, who know that they want to get more power. That's why they are coming to say, I know one of them that say he wants to be president the other time. You not get branches now.
True.
So you not get branches, so he can become a
And
president.
that's why the only
Put
numbers
another
of votes
person
he
there.
got were just the members in his church and his puppy.
And the
He
members
has
in
a
his
puppy?
church, another one that speaks grammar will become a pastor there while he's doing presidency and bring more people there, but he doesn't have branches, so he has nothing
True.
to lose. You understand?
True.
Somebody
True.
who has branches all over and is thinking of the money day and night, have real estate business that they are doing, have schools and hospitals, private that they are running. I don't think they want to do that. They want to be behind controlling the government because most of them are in charge of the government too, whether you like it or not.
So what
And
you're saying is they prefer to be the head instead of the crown.
Mm.
That's true.
No, that crown is sitting on something now. Even
Yeah,
if
the
it's
crown is sitting on the
Everybody
head, which is
there.
the people that make the crown what it is, make it shine. But
I
if you also look at it, like if you also look at it, for example, I would never had ever thought in my wildest imagination that someone like Tinubu will come out to run for presidency because I believed he enjoyed making presidents.
Mm.
He
But he's
was a governor. He knows what it is to sit on that chair. So why did Biden become American president? He would have been satisfied or
no, you
being
don't
vice
no, you're
president.
not getting it. You're not getting it.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you wield some amount of power like he has, where you can tell people, hey, vote for this person, and everybody will run and vote for that person. Where you will tell the president what to do and he listens and he does it. Sometimes you just see being president is just a waste of
Something
time
came
because
into my mind. How many of our pastors are actually encouraging their congregation to go and vote?
Well, what I would
Ooh,
say,
that's a good question.
that's a good question. The other thing you have to ask is this: how many people in the church are prepared for political office?
yeah.
Because it's a different thing. Like I told you, I get on full disclosure. I participated when I was in Nigeria in grassroots politics.
Yeah.
We got involved in member registration, trying to get people to be in the political party, trying to mobilize people to join a particular party because that would be the first step,
Yeah.
before you go to INEC, and then INEC would actually believe you guys are credible enough in the political party.
Prof, you're going to go, Prof. Sorry, you're going to continue. I want to just interject something that will make you to add to it. You did that because you're enlightened, because you are educated, and you are aware. There are some Nigerians who are doctors, but because they are not enlightened, they are not aware that
Mm.
inside that church, that there is nothing else that they ever think about but to go to church. So continue. I just wanted to bring that up because of your awareness.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
sorry, guys, sorry, Prof. Just so our people watching us live won't feel abandoned. Let's just finish taking their comments real quick.
And what
T-Babe
did he
says
do? We
that.
already read this. What did Osibanjo do? They should
Otherwise,
remain on the pulpit, like Uche said.
Mm.
Eunice for too much.
Hello.
And Emmanuel says,
You can't balance being a pastor and the president. God appointed Saul king of Israel, which is the president, and Prophet Samuel, the pastor.
Bas.
that's both.
I like
There you
it.
go. Welcome to the show, Emmanuel. Thank you for joining in. Please don't forget to subscribe. Yes, so let's take it away, Prof.
Yes, sir. So, like I was saying, one of the things you've got to realize is this: in any country, you have political parties, and for you to actually emerge as a presidential candidate of a political party, you must have satisfied and gone through the political machinery. One of the concerns I have is this: how do you become the candidate of a party without giving money, without spending money, without basically going through some of the requirements of what I'll call fidelity and what I'll call commitment to the party? Good examples we have it using Nigeria as a case study. Remember what happened in Anambra State, I think about almost 12, 15 years ago, when Dr. Ngige, who is currently the Minister of Labor, was actually going to be the governor. And we saw what the Uba brothers and some other people did. They actually told him to go to Okija Shrine to basically, and what they were trying to extract from him was not to embarrass him, but to make a commitment that when he gets there, all he had promised them was going to do. And the only way they could actually get that commitment from him, which of course I'm not endorsing, is for him to go to the shrine. Now, if you have a pastor who basically wants to be the presidential candidate, or the governorship candidate, or the senatorial candidate, and somebody tells him that, you know what, for us to know that everything you have told us you're going to be true, you have to swear, or you have to leak, or you have to have an incision put on your head. What do you think is going to happen?
Are they not doing it in secret?
No. These are some of the realities that
bringing it out into the public space. That's what he's saying.
These are the realities. So what I'm trying to say is that for many of our brethren who are listening, are you ready to go to that extent of compromising your faith? And like I was telling somebody recently, it could be an upper position, it could be a governor position. When you are going to be a governor, or you're going to be an upper or a chief, you're not going to be anointed. They're not going to put anointing oil on you.
No.
Prof, some of them are doing this sacrificial thing you were saying in secret.
Yeah.
They're doing it.
I do.
There was someone that actually did it about some years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And the person came out to say it wasn't real animal blood, it was fake blood.
They're doing it. They're doing it. Most of them are doing all these juju 7 things. Yeah. They are doing it.
And this person was a big person in the church, like a serious church leader.
Prof brings up a point too.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about a person running for high office. How many Nigerian believers have even a PVC? How many are registered to vote?
Very few.
See, because we can complain all we want. Oh, these leaders did this, they did that, and the other one. But are you actually at a place where you actually have PVC? I think maybe we need
because they are not encouraged by their leaders.
Yes.
You know, one of the things we have to basically drop in is this. Like I said, I mean, when I was in college, when I was in university, I participated in university politics, and of course, that took us outside of. I mean, I know I participated in the June 1993 election very. I participated to an extent. But one of the things we have to realize is this. I always tell people this. You, if the chairman of the NURTW today puts a candidate down, and a senior pastor in the church puts a candidate down, I can guarantee you more than 60% that the NURT candidate is going to win.
Oh, yeah.
Very likely, yes.
The reason for this, you know, election is not about, I appreciate what our pastors are doing. I appreciate what some of them are doing, mobilizing the church to do election. You see, politics is not about only election. It is about policy making. We have to basically get that clear.
Yes.
You can vote, but, you know, people vote. It's not that people don't vote. Nigerians vote, Christians vote. But the question is, who are the people being voted into power? And even when you vote, who are the policy makers? Because what politicians do is actually to vote on policies. Policies are rules, they are legislative goals that are basically passed into law. So let's think about election. You can vote, but let me ask you a question. Given the dynamic reality of where we're from, how many Christians will be willing to fight somebody who is coming to snatch the ballot box? How many Christians will wait when you are the ballot, when you are in your ward, and somebody comes out with a dagger or a gun and shoots into the air? Everybody's going to scramble.
Yeah.
And that was why I said what I said earlier, that when you have politics is local. Unfortunately, like Coach Lillian said, most of our members are they are so customized and institutionalized in the church that they don't even know them in their ward.
True.
They don't know them. So if somebody goes out to just say you want to basically campaign, the first thing that comes to their mind is, this is a Christian, you're trying to Christianize. Just like Christians also accuse Muslims of trying to Islamize. They will tell you want to Christianize the entire nation. And that is why the Nigerian political space, being very pluralistic, is a very sensitive space. And that's why I think we have to be very careful as Christians that if the other religious groups in Nigeria, as a case study, realize that we are trying to push a candidate, they're gonna also bring their candidates. And to be honest with yourselves, a study I looked at recently says that there are more Muslims than are Christians in Nigeria. Now, one thing you have to appreciate is this: even when we're talking about religious leader, in our very, very unique climate, we have PFN, we have CAN, we have other religious groups. So even amongst Christians, there's no unity candidate.
No, yeah, exactly. Yes.
So what are we talking about? There's no unity candidate, because if somebody comes out, you say, "Oh, he's a member of the Catholic Church, he's not born again." If somebody is born again, you say he's not Pentecostal because he's not speaking in tongues. If somebody is Pentecostal and speaking in tongues, you say, "Well, we don't know him. He doesn't come to a specific group."
Isn't that the problem of Christianity in the first place?
In the general space.
Yeah, we've talked about this so many times on the show, where Christians in general are not united. And I think it's because we have all these fractions, all these different. If it's Islam, we know that you go to this mosque, that mosque, everything is the same. You go to everywhere, they do the same prayer, they do the same thing. But Christians, our own, we like to stylish the whole thing and move out of what the originality actually is. We're creating different denominations. Don't be shocked. One day they'll come up with another different one. And then it will make it more difficult now for us to still stand united. And that's why I always say the problem of, let's use Nigeria again. The problem of Nigeria, number one, is religion.
Yes, no.
That's our number one problem, religion. And then we go into tribalism and all those other stuff.
Are you suggesting that we become secular?
Yes. Go back to the olden days where when you go to the village, you can't steal
no, we were not secular. We had our traditional religion. That's not what I asked. Are you suggesting we become secular?
Doctor, if you know me very well, you know that I know when you're just trying to ask me a question to and I always avoid you. Okay, Doctor, please avoid me.
Like Jamek said, until in Nigeria is kind of, I don't know the word to use now. Is not they can't come together, because somebody who goes to Mountain of Fire doesn't believe that you that goes to another church is born again. It's not even organization now, just church to church. So the thing is, let them just say, you know what, all these religious things should stop. Because let's face it, it's not even a question of laughing matter. It's destroying the nation slowly. Because a lot of our people now, they are not thinking right. Mental health is more in the church. Because the way some of the people are reasoning, they are not reasoning like, I want to improve my life. They are reasoning based on what they are being told to do.
Yeah.
You are being told to do this today. You are being told to do this tomorrow. That's what you should do. They are not even thinking of what can I do for myself and better myself. You know? So religion is one of the biggest problems we have. Anyway, I know we just choose this as a topic. Any religious leader in Nigeria, trust me, they're not going to run for office. Even the ones in America, they won't. Highest that they will do is, anyway, for American one, like TD Jakes, we encourage his members to say, go vote. He can go to some of these leaders to pray with them. You know, some of the other ones that gather together around the president, they'll go there. But the truth is they will not, because they know. They know.
No. America is different, actually. America is a weird example. America is different. This is the one place where Protestants run for office. Baptist pastors, Google it. Google.
Oh, yes, even the guy from Atlanta that won the Senate office.
America is a slightly different example.
He's a church pastor. You know why he was able to do that? Because the church where he is serving, he did not tie his placenta there. You understand? He's there to serve the people. He's not there to gob money for his family, for himself, and to build schools. You understand? Yeah. So that is why he was able to do that.
You know, one other quick, Minister Mike, one other quick thing I want to drop is this. If assuming everything works well, and you ask an average pastor, Imam, Alpha, or whoever, one question I've always asked is this: what is the position of the Nigerian church on certain social issues? For instance, what is the position of the Nigerian church on educational policy? What is the position of the Nigerian church on foreign policy, on environmental policy, on definition of marriage. What is the, because see, if you're coming out to, one of the things I think people confuse is oratory. They think oratory is politics. Oratory is not politics. The fact that a pastor speaks so intelligently and basically does biblical exegesis very brilliantly does not necessarily translate him to be a politician. Because one of the things people should understand is politics is a career. Pastoring or ministry is a career, it's a calling.
Yes.
That is why you see that those who excel in politics, they actually basically climb the ladder. And so if somebody is coming in from the church and wants to crisscross, the first thing they ask is, what's your credibility? What's your
where are you coming from? Yeah.
What do you have to offer? And so, like I said, there's an assumption that we have that is not tested. And it's a function of the fact that in our culture, we are not encouraged to ask questions. It is now enforced that even in the church, we are not allowed to ask questions.
Oh, yeah.
It is basically a one-way traffic. We tell you what to do, you dare not ask questions because that is rebellion. That's why they call it rebellion. So one question I want to keep asking is this: what are the policy planks? What are the policy stance of the Nigerian church or the Islamic faith on certain political issues? For instance, what does the Nigerian church say about let's say let me just think of something that is a social issue in Nigeria.
Women's rights. Women's rights.
Yes, or women's rights. That's a good one. If I was thinking about that. When you look at the church in Nigeria and most parts of the world as currently structured, just pick any main Nigerian church. Look at the organogram or the leadership. How many women do you find there?
Oh, please. Oh, Professor, don't go there now.
He's trying to burn the house down.
You need to understand that things are changing now.
There is a particular church. I will mention, Professor.
That's why I said earlier that these are two governments. These are two institutions. And so if the pastor is not careful, because the pastor will tell you, well, biblically, women are not meant to talk. Of course, there has been a lot of counter arguments about that by theologians. So these are things that people, look at the biggest churches in Nigeria today. Go to apart from the pastor's wife, how many women in leadership?
No.
Sure.
Very little, yes. Agreed.
Yeah.
I agree. You see, that's why
there is a church in particular that they don't ordain women more than being deaconess. They don't go to
the true. Which church are you talking about?
Doctor now.
There's a reason I'm asking.
That this is a
church now.
No, I don't.
Very popular. They don't ordain women as pastors. Only
there's a reason I'm asking. Which church?
Winners Chapel. The women never, apart from the pastor's wives, not the pastor's wife, apart from the two senior bishops.
Yeah, but the reason why I ask is that I used to think MFM didn't ordain women until I came to America. I saw MFM women pastors, as in pastoring and the entire church.
They don't ordain women. So if you're a woman pastor or you feel you want to do the ministry, whether you're an evangelist or whatever, you can't go there because you will never stand on the pulpit.
You have a silly.
I didn't know that, but I didn't think MFM ordained women too. But I've seen MFM women pastors, as in they are the lead pastor of parishes. So who knows?
They don't.
But
like I said, I respect everybody's business. I see it as business. I respect what their, what is governing their business. Structure.
Yes.
Structure. Yeah. I'm not going to ordain women. Don't tell me God said you should not. I understand if that is your structure. You understand? So if God is calling me, I wouldn't be there. I have to go to another place. But right now, God is not calling me. I can be there. But otherwise, I'm not going to be there. If you want to really preach to people, you can't, because you can never be, even as they ordain you deaconess, it doesn't mean that you want to go and say the Lord's Prayer on the pulpit. No. As a woman, no, whether you're even a pastor's wife, you're not a pastor. And there's some of them like that too that don't believe in ordaining women.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
A friend of mine once told me that there is no religion that encourages slave mentality like Christianity.
There's no religion that encourages slave mentality like African Christianity.
Like African Christianity. Okay.
Yes.
Let's put it African Christianity.
Yeah.
Because because you are supposed to do
Mm-hmm.
what you're told.
Hear and obey.
Just as Prof said, you sway away from it, they'll bring all the curses from everywhere. Beer that we've never seen in Africa will come out from somewhere and bite you.
And do you know why it is like that?
No.
Okay, the reason, this is for me, the reason why it is like that, it still goes to the government, because the country, there is not structured. People don't have jobs. People don't know what they're doing, because trust me, most of them, I have some close friends, family, when they were in Nigeria, day and night, who here, who God, they're praying and preaching. The moment they got to the US, they never went to church anymore.
Oh yeah.
You understand? So they've been liberated. So it's the same problem we have back home. If there is life,
No. I disagree with you. Lillian. I disagree with you. Humbly disagree with you, because you said
it's
they've been
part of it.
liberated.
It's
No,
part
they've
of
not
it.
been liberated.
Poverty is part of it.
Lillian, let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you what happened.
Okay, Minister Max,
problem
finish that thought.
Yes, the problem there is not that they've been liberated. It's just that the people from their village have reduced in number to pursue them. And you don't need to pray too much again for prayers to be answered.
Oh, please. Oh, God, Minister Max, you are too funny. Because when they got here, in Nigeria, when you buy a car, you go and give testimony.
Yeah.
It's your right to drive a car.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You are going to the embassy to go and get a visa. You go and give testimony. No, if you are well prepared and you're qualified, they give you visa. So what we see as a big deal, somebody is able to feed the family, you go and, no, it's your right. This is what God has provided.
What else do you expect? What else do you expect in a country where nothing works?
Exactly.
In
That's
a
what
country where
I
nothing
said.
works,
If things are working in Nigeria,
yeah.
growing up, it wasn't like this now. You can't just come to my mom's house and you say you are a Christian, or you go to church and when I entered Deeper Life as a high school student, all those Deeper Life brothers, they like coming to visit. My mom, they pursue them with cane. You understand? He said, how can you, a man, you a young girl, you pursue them? So, because then things were a little bit good. But from 1990 to 2000, things started getting worse. People's head begin change. You understand?
But can't you see that? Can't you see that even the people, I'm not blaming just the leaders alone. I'm blaming the people. I'm blaming the people here. Because number one, you have your PVC, and your pastor will tell you who to vote for. You will not use your own church mind to go and vote. You will go and follow what your pastor told you to vote for, because the person came to your church to give tithe and offering and took picture with your pastor, and then you go and vote for the person. Now the person begins to maltreat you and not giving you jobs and everything. And that's not just it. But you don't have jobs. Go and look at churches that hold prayers or events every single day, morning, evening, overnight. Look at majority of the people that are in that church. Young people. If you are in church praying morning, evening, night, when do you have the time to work? When? And you keep blaming, oh, there is poverty in the land, there's poverty in the land. Why won't there be poverty in the land?
I called one of my nieces the other day. I said, where are you? He said, I'm in church. This was like on a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon. I said, are you out of your mind? I said, in church in the afternoon. He said they went for a prayer for something. I said, on a working day afternoon.
In the middle of the day.
He said some people who are even working takes a break and come there. I said, that is why the country is not working. How can you leave your job? How are you going to be effective? Like now I go to school as a teacher. So by the time I'm in the school or I work in a clinic, by 12 o'clock or 1, I say, my patient, wait for me. Or Minister Max, you tell them, just wait. I know you have your medication by 1, but wait, I'm going to pray first and come back.
Let me go to church, I'll come back.
It's not going to work. So the problem is, well, I might be wrong, Professor, because you are a professor and also a pastor, the way you've told us, quote all these Bible. You are a pastor too. You understand? I believe that there is juju that is holding all these members. I'm telling you, and that's why there's a church, I won't mention the name, every year. The beginning of every year, I used to be ignorant today. They used to clean my forehead, but thank God for deliverance. They will bring handkerchief and they will use it to wipe all the members' head. Now, this thing they take people's sense. They're using it to take people's sense. So I am sure that there is something. I might be wrong. God forgive me if I'm wrong.
Let me
that there is something that they are using to hypnotize people.
Let me
That
tell you
is
something.
making them not have sense anymore.
Yeah, Prof mentioned something earlier, and I don't want us to forget it. He said we are in dire need of critical thinking,
Yep.
that we are no longer able to think critically. He said it at the beginning of his presentation.
Yeah.
What you are describing, Coach Lillian, is inability, as a mass inability to think critically. And this thing has slowly grown over the years. I read a book many years ago, and I'm going to suggest, y'all know me, I'm a nerd. I love books, I can't lie. There's a book I read, one of the few books that's changed my life. It's called A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. It was written by
Connecticut Yankee.
Yes, in King Arthur's Court.
Do they have the movie?
Oh, stop it.
For some of us, I like to watch the movie.
It was written by Mark Twain. And the summary of it, I'm just going to give you one line. A man hit his head and left the present. The present was like 1300 AD and went back in time to about 700 AD in Britain. So he left America at the year 1400 something and ended up in Britain around 600, 650 AD. And the conditions he described there, if those people were not white, they would have been Nigerian. Superstitious. Whatever the priest said was what they did. Whether it made sense or not is not the point. As in, it was scary the way it was so similar to present day Africa. And Mark Twain has a wicked sense of humor. And he showed that it is the unreasoning practice of religion that robs people of their ability to think critically.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think it's juju. I think it is this thing that he described. It's an old book. I think it's that phenomenon he described then. Because I tell you, it looks and sounds like present day Africa. And it was the fact that people slowly, surely, by practicing religion with no boundaries, they slowly forget how to think critically.
Yeah.
And it is the only person that thing benefits are the religious leaders.
Oh, yeah.
Not the society, not the people they're leading. So at some point, if Africa is to move forward, we need to come back to critical thinking. Whether we had it and we lost it or we never had it, I don't care at this point.
Yeah.
We need to get to the point where we are raising people who can think critically, who can ask questions. We need to get to the point where if a religious leader says, touch not my anointed, you can't ask me questions, we find the least violent way to unseat them because it needs to end. Yeah. People need to be able to say what you're saying is out of context of scripture. I do not agree with you. And nobody's going to shame them for it. I think that's where we need to get to in Africa because 1300 AD, look at where we are today in 2022.
Take us another 500 years.
But that's where what Prof also says comes into play. The style of leadership. These leaders are not using that autocratic style for nothing. They're using that to keep and cage their members in that. It's better we have them thinking that way than for them to open their eyes and see.
And to see.
Once they open their eyes to see that they can actually take us out of the church because it's their money that we use to build this church. It's their sweat and blood that we use to have everything that we have. So technically, we are serving them and not them serving us. Once they can open their eyes to see all that, forget it, things will change. But right now,
that's what I'm saying, that the people themselves need to be empowered. Honestly, if I could hand that book to every young person in Nigeria, I would. Because there's some sort of fogginess, some cobweb over people's brains. People are rational until you mention church. The average Nigerian can be rational, we can discuss stuff, until you mention pastors. It's as if some glaze comes over their eyes and they lose their ability to think rationally. That needs to change.
I think they need to act it in a movie so we can.
You know what? I think quite honestly, I think things are changing gradually. The internet has actually brought some liberation, even though it has also brought some problems with it. Because for the very first time in the last 2-3 years, we are beginning to see a lot of. I would say the internet has actually began to evolve some Christians in Nigeria into the Berean Christians in Acts chapter 17.
Mhm.
And what do I mean? You begin to see a lot of Christians now who are challenging age-long doctrines that were never challenged before. People now have access to information online. They're able to compare real time. And the implication of that is that I'm beginning to see Nigerian pastors being extremely cautious to make statements, because they know that as you are talking real time, somebody is doing a Google search.
Yes.
And so I'm beginning to see pastors now being very careful about prophecy, because people are compiling those prophecies, and some people are actually trying to say, okay, you said it's going to happen this year, it hasn't happened. And so beginning to undermine even some pastors' ministry and some pastors' prophetic calling and gifting. So I believe very strongly that there is hope. I believe people are getting liberated. I believe people are becoming Berean Christians, as we see in Acts chapter 17 and verse 11. And I think, people are beginning to think. People are beginning to ask questions. People are beginning, and I think parents also in older generation are beginning to. I remember very, very well. My dad, in his lifetime was a pastor. I remember when he saw I was very fanatical. He one day called me and said, "Look, I'm not saying you shouldn't go to church, but I'm worried that you are prioritizing going to church more than your education." And he said, never forget. He told me, he said, Pastor Kumi made mention of something. And he intentionally quoted Pastor Kumi so that will resonate with me. He said, Pastor Kumi said, you don't pass mathematics on your knees.
Yes.
That's basically stuck with me. So
do his members believe that though?
He said, even Pastor Kumi, who is a mathematician,
that is,
say, you don't pass mathematics on your knees. So technically what I'm trying to say is that, it goes back to what we are saying, that, okay, let's just be very practical. Look at the current Nigerian church as currently structured. Who in the church, even among the religious leaders, do you think if he goes for a political office today is going to win? Just be very frank.
Nobody.
None.
Let's look at the biggest pastors we have. All the top 5 pastors in Nigeria. Do you think if any of them decides to go for office, they're going to win election?
Nope.
No.
It's a reality. And I tell people this. When they hear people tell you, oh, this particular church has 40 million members, the reality in Nigeria is this: no church can articulately and confidently count their members, because the church, members of Redeemed, when they finish Holy Ghost night on Friday, they go to Palmos change hands. When they finish MFM, they go to Shiloh. When they finish Shiloh, they go to another church. So it's very difficult to count your members. And I usually tell people this: pick an average Nigerian phone and go to P. Just go to letter P. No Nigerian has one pastor.
Oh yeah. Pastor this church.
Take an average phone and go scroll down to P. There are pastors for deliverance, pastors for marriage, pastors for education, pastors for children, pastors for breakthrough. And I can blame them, because of course it's good in the sense that, okay, people are trying to tap into people's different gifts.
No.
So at the end of the day, what we are saying is that until we, that's why Jesus prayed in John chapter 17. He said, Father, make them one. In Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 13, he said something. He said, till we all come to the unity of faith.
To the
knowledge of the Son of God, to the measure of the fullness of the Christ. So what I'm trying to say is this: until we have a unified church with a united agenda, with a political agenda, anything we are talking about in terms of churches or religious leaders taking political position is a mirage.
Oh, Simabota. I have a special surprise backstage. He had to join in from work. His busy schedule at work. Welcome, the one, the only.
I think I will suggest to you, Minister Megs, that please find time to do something on this religious topic, because we need people like Prof to really, Prof, you have to be giving a lot of enlightenment talks, because I'm telling you, Nigeria is sick, and until they really hear somebody teaching them and talking to them, we need more people. I know there are a lot of bloggers and vloggers, people are talking, but we still need more people to
Yes.
do it. Because even me, I have some relatives that are sometimes I tell my brother, I say, what is this? I'm going to march to your pastor's office. Oh, because the way you are taking this religion now is craziness, it's
Yeah.
madness. You understand? We want our families, our friends to be
To be
delivered, to do
free.
something
Yes.
for themselves. Nobody, if you're a grown ass man who is almost 50, who they pursue you now? They didn't kill you when you were 5 years old. Now they want to kill you. Umbano,
Mm.
it's the laziness that is
No, no,
pursuing you.
this village people from the village, these village
So,
people,
Even
so
the
we
village
need
people
to
self are
open their
tired.
eyes.
even
There
the
is
village people are
nobody
tired, Steph.
pursuing them.
Okay,
The
You
village
know,
people are tired.
okay. So yes, let me just bring in Sam Soft real quick to let us know what he thinks about this topic.
Yeah, Sam,
Sam
what
Soft,
do you think?
we have a professor, a wonderful professor in the house. He has been doing justice
oh my
to the
God,
topic today.
too much.
In
Yeah.
fact,
Wow.
he has talked a lot and he's been very Professor, this is Sam Soft. He is
How
one of
you guys doing?
We're fine.
we're
It's
good.
good
We're
to.
good.
It's good. I've just been watching from backstage and enjoying you and my fellow sisters. I missed you guys.
We
You know,
miss you too. It's nice to
it's
see
good.
you again.
It's good to see every one of you. And this is a beautiful topic.
Oh
And
yeah.
how you did now, Minister Mix?
About a day.
You
I'm
don't come
good.
yesterday. Oh, you said you were going to come.
Sam Soft,
We
you
were
can hear my
waiting.
voice now. I'm not feeling fine. I didn't want to. I know you very well. If I come now, Sam Soft will carry shelters and start spraying.
Did you just say shell talks? Oh my
But
Shelters.
wait first.
Eh,
So because you're not, you for just send me, shoot me message. Say I
I
have
was
to.
sleeping all day, man. Like I was
Oh,
just
you are
down.
healed in Jesus' name.
Amiel.
We just finished talking about pastors now. How the grab people's yeah, yeah, laying hand for me through the chat.
But it's not all pastors that are criminals. So even though these people in Nigeria are messed up,
So what do you think about the topic, sir? Should your religious leader run for
Your
political
pastor,
office?
run for political
Your
office.
pastor,
I
yeah.
think that issue is very for me. If you as a pastor you can run, but if you are serving as a leader of a church, maybe you are a general overseer, you have a church that you're already uh, assigned to. I don't think it's a good idea to run for office because you cannot do both office at the same time because it's not going to work. But as a pastor or as a reverend or just like our vice president in Nigeria, he ran for office because he wasn't pastoring a church.
Mhm.
So, but it was he's a pastor. So yes, I think a religious leader can run for office when he doesn't have an assigned church that
I
is
I tend to you just brought this to you brought a different color of light on this particular topic right now. And I tend to want to fight you just as I've been agreeing in the show with Lillian. I want to disagree with you on that. Because when you say a pastor has that calling of a pastor to pastor someone, meaning he has been given a responsibility. Now,
okay.
the vice president, did he still remain pastor of that church after he became vice president? I don't know. So I'm
You
asking.
didn't understand. Like what I was saying, he's a pastor, but he wasn't pastoring a church because you can be a pastor, but you're not pastoring a church. You can be a pastor or a minister. You have a particular office in the church, but not overseeing the members. So,
So
but if you're overseeing the members, it's going to be a tough assignment
my
to
question
run
now
the church.
my
Yeah.
question now is, should a pastor who is not assigned to pastor the whole church but has a responsibility in the church,
Yeah.
should he run for a political office, which you've said yes to? And
Yes.
when he wins, should he continue to remain pastor as he was in that church?
Yes. The reason
That's
why he
what do you
can.
think?
This is why he can continue as a pastor in that church. It's not like it's going to be effective like as he was when he's not having the political office. but he can also use that as political office to help the church.
That is the problem. That is the problem right there. And I rest my case, people. I rest my case.
We don't live fire.
Okay,
We don't set the house on fire.
let me tell you
Thank you,
why
technician, for
it
bringing
is
everybody
important.
to this.
You remember when you have a someone that fights for you in a particular society, it helps the body of Christ, and it also help because we are looking, we are asking God. We need a change in a country, and we need someone that can bring that change.
Oh
But most of
God.
the time, how can we get a change when the people that are always running are people, I call it idiocracy, the government of our forefathers and our elderly fathers. In
Minister
Africa,
Soft, Sam Soft,
hmm,
please give me one Nigerian
I knew
notable
Lillian
big
would come for you.
pastors
yes,
who should be our Nigerian president. Please
but
tell
let me
me.
ask, okay, let me tell you, this topic does not say Nigerian politics.
No,
It's general.
we are
No, we are
zooming
taking case
in. Don't
study.
touch
We're
it.
zoning in.
Case study
Because
as
now
Nigeria.
you are bringing in
Which
Nigeria.
Nigerian pastor
Yeah.
can be a president? Please tell me one of
Okay.
the big pastors.
No. None of those Nigerian. Oh, the Nigerian pastors cannot run for office. You know why?
Oh,
You know
Why?
why?
oh,
Because they
I
already
need
have
to
an
drink
assignment. You
water.
cannot. They already have a
Urobosaya,
church.
I drink
Now
water.
you didn't listen to my first
Hmm.
explanation. The only way I agree for a pastor to run is when he doesn't have a big church, like he's running for, he has a church. No, like for instance,
So,
like me,
so what if he has a church of just 50 people? Can he run?
You people are
no,
not
he
seeing
cannot
what
run.
Sam Soft is
He
doing.
cannot run.
Sam Soft is dodging. Sam Soft is very smart. Sam Soft brought up Oshibanjo as an example, and now he's running away to say he did not know.
Okay. But I
Wahala.
have a
Now,
question.
before you go on, there's something that Minister Lillian said that caught my attention. She said that people are always judging people based on. I don't understand. I can't remember how she said it again. When, for instance, Nigerians are always quick to find say something negative about people. For instance, like in the church, when they see, like for instance, when you see an old person, an old woman, in their mind, because the old woman is
I
bent,
don't understand
in their
some
mind
stuff.
is a witch. You know, that
Okay.
kind of mentality is from the kind of messages they hear. That's why I know it's different from our topic. It's the kind of messages they hear that say that old woman in your village. Why is it must it be an old woman in your village? They always refer to it as an old woman that is troubling that person. So the mind of the people now, when they see an old person, say, hey, see this witch.
It's because they don't
In
know
their
that some
mind,
principalities were
don't
good.
they want to get old?
I mean, let me quickly drop in
Minister Sansoft. Okay, go ahead, Prof, please.
I mean, just because I know we have a global audience and, this can be referred to in the future. So what I just found out now is that Professor Yemi Osinbajo was actually the pastor in charge of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Lagos Province 48, only 3 provincial headquarters. And interestingly, I just realized now that the current governor of Edo State, that's Governor Osage Izeyamo,
Yes.
was also a pastor. He was actually the vice. His own title then was assistant pastor in charge of the Christian social responsibility of the Redeemed Church of God, Edo Province 2. However, the good thing about, which of course all of us have articulated well, is that they actually basically step aside. That is where we are coming to, that you can't run both at the same time.
Correct.
So again, it goes back to what I said earlier, that people who have such calling and who have embedded themselves. Now, when you look at the pedigree, or what I would call the profiles of these 2 people I've brought up, that's Professor Yemi Osinbajo and Governor Iyamo of Edo State, they were practically in the machineries of their parties.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at APC today, President Nachibaji was one of those who wrote the manifesto or the constitution of that party. So he's not a mean man in the party. They know him in the party. When you look at, I was just reading about Governor Yamu. Governor Yamu was actually the campaign coordinator of the former governor's Oshiomhale's second-term campaign organization. And as a matter of fact, he was also the coordinator of the Goodluck Sambo campaign organization in Edo State. So even though they were pastors, in whatever dimension they function in the church, they were also actively involved in politics. So what we are trying to say is that it's very possible for a Christian to run for office. However, permit me to give a good example. Now, Mr. Max, when we talk, you talked about Jos.
Yes.
There is a particular Christian governor in Jos that ran as a believer and won. I'm not going to mention him, but if you go back memory, you know what I'm talking about.
Jonah.
So in the course of my work, I met a top archbishop in Jos, very respected archbishop. And he and I were talking, and we reconnected in the US. And I told him, I said, sir, I met you in 1999, 2001, 2002. And I know you were talking about this governor as a believer then. And the guy shook his head. He said, my brother, he said, it's unfortunate. He said, we lost our brother. I said, what do you mean? He said, he's alive. He said, but his testimony as a Christian was soiled. Immediately he went into politics. He said, we lost our brother. And so that is the challenge we have, that if you put in there, one of the things we believe is this. In Mark chapter 8, Jesus warned about 3 leavens. He said, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees.
Yeah.
Beware of the leaven of the Sadducees. The is the leaven of the Herodians.
Yeah.
We focus on the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. But if you check and do your biblical theological investigation, the leaven of the Herodians is worldliness and political power pursuits. So when Jesus told the disciples in Mark chapter 8 and verse 15, and he told them, said, beware of the leaven of the Herodians. Something is very interesting. When you look at when Jesus made mention of that, 2 things happened. It was shortly after he had fed people and they were trying to make him a king. And of course, when crossing over to the other, he told them, he said, beware of the leaven of the Herodians. When you look at the Herodians are a political party in Israel. And what was Jesus telling them? This same Jesus, who is our Lord and the Christ, was actually being drawn, or people wanted him to make him a king. He ran away.
Yeah.
And he's now telling his disciples, beware of the leaven of the Herodians. Check it again. The leaven of the Herodians is Christ warning the disciples that a little leaven at the whole lump. If you're not careful and you fall prey or you fall victim to the leaven of the Herodians, you are going to be polluted. And that's why Jesus avoided Herod all the while. And that's, if you remember, the only time you see Jesus had basically used a very strong word against somebody, it was Herod. He said, go tell that fox.
That's sly fox, yes.
I rest my case.
Wow.
Men and brethren.
Professor, there's something you said that I would like to just touch on there. You said the other man said when that pastor went to politics, we lost him. How many of them? Because if we can find 50 genuine Christians who are working in the government offices, or even 100, that country will change. Some of them eat bread more than the unbelievers. So to me, most people have taken to religion as a cover-up of their mess. They've taken to religion, and that's why I see a lot of people who are in church. I'm sorry to say, not all of them, but some of them, a lot of them, they beat their wives. They're terrors at home. Why do you think there are a lot of problems now in marriages, among people who say they are Christians and pastors?
Yeah.
Because they don't have that thing, Christ-like inside of them. They're all playing religion. And also to please the pastors. They go to church, they give their tithe and offering, they are known, they give them title. Do they care about their consciousness, their behaviors, how they behave, how they talk to people? I've seen a lot of people, prayer warriors, so to say, deaconesses and all that. Let them just leave church and let somebody just say something they don't like, and you need to see how they behave. So the problem we have, why things are not working, still stands on people who go to church. They are religious,
But they're not spiritual.
they are not exactly,
Oh,
they
yeah.
are not spiritual. That thing they say Christ-like is not inside of them. You understand? So that guy did not get lost. He got lost because he's not practicing the genuine thing he's supposed to do. There are some people who have got, let me use the word fearing God. Not just saying I go to church, I'm a Christian. Give your life, raise your hand up, you're born again. No. Fear God. Most of them don't fear God with the things that they do. There's a guy in NMPC who is a boss in NMPC. You remember before now, NMPC, like 10 years ago, 8 years ago, what they were doing with their staff is like those big top staff. They normally rotate them to travel abroad in a particular department. This man is a redeemed pastor. He collects bribe. But do you know what he tells them? Put it in my drawer. So they won't say they give it in the hand. So the problem we have, let's be honest, people they have to change their mind. Their mind has to be reborn. Genuinely loving people the way God said we should love people. It's not all about church. Okay, why are we living in America today? And when you meet an average American, they will tell you, you're talking about church? I've never been to church. But they are kind. They don't want to see anybody hungry. They don't want to see anybody not having clothes. They want to help. To me, that's the first place that the people who say they are Christians in Nigeria, caring for people should start from. Then our heart can change.
Okay, I want to say something, right? And what I want to say is, before you became a Christian, you are first a human being. A human being with weaknesses. You got weaknesses just like every other normal human being. Now, when you now become a Christian, you become born again. That changes you to now be more conscious of things that are happening around you, giving you that ability to be able to differentiate between, okay, I cannot do this because I am this. But when you take my people always have this proverb that says, if you carry a sheep to mix among goats that eat yam, before you know it, that sheep will begin to eat yam, even though it doesn't like to eat yam. Now, let me just hit my point. This one, doctor is rubbing her beer so much. Whenever doctor is trying to disagree with me, she rubs her beer that she doesn't have.
I'm just thinking,
Eh. Now, to my point, when you take a religious leader, I don't want to be specific on pastor because religious leader could be imam.
Yeah.
When you take someone who you already have high expectations of, don't forget that we as human beings have these high expectations of our religious leaders. We see them beyond humans. We see them as sons of God, and forgetting that we are all children of God. But now them the child of God, we pass us. They are also human. When you take a religious leader to place in an environment, like Professor said, where they say we have to cut your head to put this in, or you have to go and swear this, or have to go and swear that, ambition and spirituality becomes a debate. Do I want to follow my ambition, my passion of becoming this? And then it's easy to justify whatever you were about to do because you will say, oh, I will use it to touch so many lives, I will use it to help so many people. We don't know that that party you're joining already have a structure that's already set up already for you to fail in every good thing that you want to do. So it's easy for a man of God to go into politics and get lost because there's a structure set up already that will ensure that you don't continue in that good. If you attempt to continue, you are still strong, train strong ahead that you can do it, they will kill you. Either one or the other. Look at the vice president. You know how many times his helicopter have crashed?
True.
So
Okay, so I'm gonna have to leave you in a few minutes, but I want us to what do we suggest to people? We've suggested, folks need to get their minds liberated so we can make progress. What else can we suggest to people? Because I like to talk about problems, but I like even better to talk about solutions.
The solution, I think, is reformation and the renewing of the mind. And that has to start from the top down.
From the
Because
top?
now-
Are you sure?
No.
Now, you are asking, the only way a change can come, if the people that are on the head, that are on top, are showing the example that is going the wrong way, the other people will follow too. Especially Nigeria. Nigerians are copycats. Nigerians they like when they feel like everybody's going that way, and everybody's hailing it. Everybody follow that direction. That's why you see when a business is successful in somewhere, everybody jump into that business in Nigeria. Because
can't
they
you
always
say that
like to follow.
mentality? Everybody is
They have
following.
one kind of mentality. So listen, their mind need to be renewed. Because now even the church, the messages they hear is kind of negative. Indirectly. Now, for instance, the message you hear like mega. So hey, you will prosper. You will prosper. Hey, you will prosper. Now in their mind, the pastor will only recognize me if I prosper. So I have to prosper anyway. So if that message change, which is going to be it's impossible. It's impossible for that message to change.
That's the next topic we'll be talking
You know
about.
what I'm saying? So if we even our prayer self now, for me to even pray for Nigeria is kind of a little it's challenging, I must confess. So how can I pray when we have the largest church in Nigeria? We have the most holiest church in Nigeria. The ones that tie their nose and tie their neck, you cannot even see their face. They are there, and
even the native ones join,
and nothing is changing. It's worse. In fact, the thing get us built.
I was watching this documentary about because of all this Ukraine thing, and they were showing the largest oil producing countries.
That one break my heart.
And
That
Nigeria
one break my heart.
Nigeria is part of them. Now tell me why Nigeria cannot succeed when we have everything needed to succeed. Because we're lacking something. That's why we have not succeeded.
On the contrary, Nigeria was not built to succeed.
That's true.
Nigeria was not built for Nigerians. Once we grasp that fact, we may be able to make progress. Maybe.
Well, I know our time is up. I know our time is up. Just like Doctor said, I'm going to be very quick for my own. Okay. So to me, I think the change should start from us. Let's stop saying the government and the top and the top. Let it start from us, you and I. Let's be kind to one another. Let's do things the right way. Let's be honest with each other. Let's help each other. So it's just like you have children now. If your children sees that you and your wife, you're always saying the truth, what happens? They copy and they say the truth. So if we are honest and we're doing things right, the other family is doing things right, then it cannot creep to the top. I don't agree that it has to be just the top. Yes, they have their own responsibility and all that. You said something like the professor, the thinking. God, it's not just even a prayer thing now. Let us consciously change the way we are thinking.
And
begin to approach life differently. So it's not the government. If you, Sam Soft, knows what will make me prosper, you tell me I prosper. I know what will make Dr. prosper, I tell her. And we 5 of us here, we're doing the right thing. The next 10 people, they are doing the right thing. Where do you think the country is going to?
It will spread.
Let me tell you that even
Oh,
me,
let's stop
that
saying the government, the
I
government.
am doing the right thing,
Hold on,
because
sir.
I
No,
have
no,
a
no, no,
Hold
foundation.
on,
no.
sir. Let
I
her
will
wrap up.
not
Let her round
agree
up,
with
sir.
you.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
You'll get your chance.
An average Nigerian, doctor, I don't agree that Nigeria is not built to succeed. Take your mind back to 1990 something. You understand?
Where they used to buy
The way
provision.
Nigeria,
Yeah.
no, the way Nigeria is then, is it the way it is now? No. So the truth is that
I
the
know whereof I
people,
speak.
no, the
And you people
people's
don't understand where
mind,
she's coming from. That's why you are disagreeing with her.
the
Yeah, I
people's
know where she's
mind
coming from.
has been changed, and they
Mm.
they refuse to learn on their own, to read, to understand on their own. It's not that.
Let me just quickly drop this. Again, back to the topic. I believe anybody who is called of God and prepared. What I mean by prepared is this: we're talking about Christians or religious leaders involved in politics.
Yeah.
If they are prepared, they have the pedigree, they've joined a political party, they are going through the ranks of the political party, their
Yeah.
faith is on stage, glory be to God. I mean, somebody I was just thinking about now, you all know, is Joseph of Arimathea in Matthew 27 from 57 to 60. Joseph of Arimathea was highly placed. Did you guys realize that without Joseph of Arimathea, I mean, the disciples would never have been able to put Jesus in the tomb because they all ran away. They needed a person of influence, which is what I think Sam Soft was saying, that you need somebody who can actually influence legislation, make sure legislation does not tilt to one religious group or the other. A good example,
Exactly.
Nigeria, recently. How did we have a system where a particular religious group had had the entire curriculum changed to only reflect a particular religious group's orientation? And the question I asked myself was this: where were all the Christians in the National Assembly and in the
Yeah.
Congress? Because one of the reality we have to realize is this: many of these politicians go to believers. They are Christians,
Yeah. Church
but
folk.
they are church goers. Are pastors. Many of them are deacons in their churches. But the question is this: when money is brought to be shared or allocations are made, what happens to their Christian conscience? Which goes back to what Coach Lillian was saying. I think what is happening in the nation when we talk about is what I would call the breakdown or the absence of genuine discipleship. Because somebody like Joseph of Arimathea, who even though was persecuted, he was part of the Sahandering. He had political clout. And I've always said it: without Joseph of Arimathea, who would have taken Jesus from the cross, taken down from the cross? So Joseph of Arimathea, with his political clout and connection, actually contributed to the eventual resurrection of the Christ. So what I'm trying to say is this: I believe there are Christians who are called to be in politics, to be in policy making, to be in business, to be in all strata of human endeavor. However, the concern is this: the church in Nigeria, because we talk about solution, the church in Nigeria should begin to have think tanks that basically develops Christians. I don't subscribe to just voting. You can vote 300 times. But what is our policy position? Do we, by now, Nigeria should have a Christian think tank? Do you know how long the Southern Leadership Conference has been in existence? The Southern Christian Leadership Conference was what Martin Luther King and the rest of them used to bring about voting rights and civil rights in America. We don't, and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, we need something like that in Nigeria. There's another institute called the Seymour Institute. It actually came out of Harvard. It's now a standalone institute. It's called the Seymour Institute. This is an institute that basically develops church leaders for public policy and public office. We need something like that in Nigeria. It is not just voting. Until we begin to develop the policy capacity of our brethren, either Muslims or Christians, we are not ready for politics. You're not going to be going to National Assembly to say the Bible says.
Yeah, true.
You understand? And so that is one of the things I want us to round up with, that, we have to build the capacity of our people. We have to have positions. We have to have what I would call, what is our Christian ethos? What is our Christian, manifesto? Look at the German Christian Party. I'm not trying to say we should have a Christian party in Nigeria, but I'm trying to say that, for instance, take it or leave it. The Conservative Party in America has a bibliocentric a view of abortion, of marriage. You can take it away from them. You have what is called the K Street in American politics. You can take that in from them. So what I'm saying that by now we should have evolved and grown into a system where we have institutes, think tanks, or even some endowed chairs in our universities that basically looks at the intersection of religion and politics. Thank you, sir.
Wow.
Even Paul was a politician before he became Paul has this knowledge. We need all those kind of people in the body of in office where they can actually stand for believers and even the ordinary men because of the information and the standard of life they believe in. So it's very important that we have Christians in the office. It will help.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We've far exhausted our time. Thank you very much for still watching. Thank you. We appreciate you all. I want to say a special thank you to Prof. Thank you very, very much, Prof, for coming on.
Thanks for the invitation. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Please, we're going to beckon on you again to join us on another topic because we would need a lot of insight and input from you.
I'll be honored to be invited.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Samson, for joining in, even though you came at the end.
Thank you. I have to drag it more, right? I drag you guys more.
I know. Thank you very much, Dr. Tolu, who actually got us, Prof. Thank you very much.
See, my people, please, it's good. We have Christian nerds. There are plenty of us who love books and scholarly stuff. We need more of this in Nigeria, honestly. We do. Critical thinking. We can't have critical thinking institutions without people who think critically.
Yeah.
Correct.
Very true. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been real. We've had so much fun till we meet next week on Chatroom with Max for another wonderful, interesting topic. See you. And please don't forget, open your mind, okay? Open your mind. Tell Prof some of you guys can just wait at the backstage so we can talk after this show. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
It's your boy Max. I want to introduce a show to you. It's called Chatroom with Max.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Pay attention whenever
the primary sign, usually on an adult in a domestic violence situation, are bruises.
God gave him a talent. And the Bible says your gift will make a way for